Do any committee members have items that they would like to pull off of the consent agenda before I go ahead and call that? And I will note. Yes.
Alderman Fleming, do you want to make the motion about suspending the rules for in-person?
Yes, thank you. I move that we suspend the rules per the governor's order. I move that we suspend the rules to conduct this meeting virtually using the Zoom platform. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Stoneback, can you call the roll for that?
Alderman Rainey?
Yes.
Alderman Braithwaite?
Yes.
Alderman Fleming?
Yes.
Alderman Sufferton?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, committee members, do you have any items to take off of the consent agenda?
In addition to the ones we took off?
Right, so A2 is off because that's not on consent agenda. A16 is off by staff request. We will take off A19 through A23 because those are needed to have a vote on them to suspend the rules.
A18 as well.
I'm sorry, A18 through 23, thank you. Those are off consent agenda. Do you have any others that people would like to take off consent agenda?
Alderman Fleming, if I may, I just got an email that there's no sound.
Oh, thank you.
Are we sure that we've got our broadcast problems fixed, Luke?
Alderman Suffragan, was that YouTube or Channel 16? Do you know?
I don't. I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry.
I will check with Anderson.
Luke, do we need to wait or should we continue?
Maybe we could just wait one moment if we could.
Okay.
Oh, I just got a new email. It says it's good now. So I apologize. I'm just trying to help. But I want that sound now, Luke. Sorry about the false alarm.
This is live. This is really live.
This is public service. All right. So I would like to take off A17 from the consent agenda.
What is that?
Which is the franchise service administration fee.
Okay.
And then I think that was all I have. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to take off consent agenda before I read it? No. All right. So,
Alderman Fleming, do you want to approve the minutes, and do you also want to take public comment?
yes, I can. Thank you for reminding me of both of those. Yes. So let's.
We could continue with this and then go back to that. We're just.
Well, we'll do public comment. We only have one person, so let's do public comment now. Is it Mr. Vasilko?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Vasilko, you are welcome to begin your public comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, well, so I get 45 minutes, right?
You really need 45 minutes, Mike?
I could use it. So I'm just, I'm always confounded by, you know, the amount of money we spend on a monthly basis, especially when the budget is increasingly, or the deficit, I guess, is getting larger and larger, according to the city manager. So, you know, it's difficult to pick out individual items, but we're spending, you know, nearly $8 million just in the bills list. And there's $1.3 million in insurance. There's $150,000 in more spending, forever spending at the Robert Crown Center. There's a lot of legal services. There's something called out in Fund 350 as $123,000 of other professional services, but there's no breakdown as to what that $123,000 is. I thought there was a moratorium on new employees, but we're spending well over $60,000 in instructor fees for Parks Direct that I can't imagine there's anybody using those services, but we're still paying people. There's another $38,000. I mean, there's a lot of insurance costs buried in this list, hundreds of thousands of dollars, actually. The group called Passport Parking I believe that's the group that you hired to do our parking collection. We're paying them so much. Are we actually getting any fees in return? There's approval for, or request for approval for $150,000 to do microfiche maintenance. Isn't that something that could be postponed until a later date? I'd also like to see, I mean, I don't understand why we want to spend $500,000 on A6 at this time when we could use that money for other services that are being requested by for social services. Why is that so urgent to do this year? That's for Epstein and Sons, $500,000. Another $371,000 for granite inliners for the sewers. That's something that has to happen this year, or couldn't that be postponed? Why are we spending $190,000 on an out-of-state firm to do root control here in Evanston? We're hiring people from New York to come and do that. Doesn't make any sense. This ongoing extension of the state of emergency really needs to stop. I mean, a lot of people are beginning to group together now. I'm sure we could get this city council meetings in the city council building where they should be, even if it's a restricted number of attendees. So I'd like to see that happen. And I see that there's an extension for the city, for Erica Storley for the interim city manager position. When are we going to see, the results of the real city manager search? And no one has updated us on that effort for months. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vasilko. Since you are our only speaker, I'm going to give you a reminder, which I imagine might come during the city manager's report or the mayor's report, that an email went out last week through our tech department to anyone who signed up with the updates on the city manager search. So the search is closed. Resumes are being looked through now. City council will get an update, I believe, at the end of this week. And then we will start the process that is laid out on the city website, including the chance for citizens to participate, which I believe is the middle of October, if I'm right for that part, including citizen interview panels. So that did just come out last week in case you didn't get that one. And the microfiche number that you gave in terms of the contract award, it was budgeted last year at $150,000, but the cost estimate for what the cost of it is $85 to $95. So they do not anticipate using the $150 that was actually budgeted for that service. Just want to make sure we get the correct numbers out there. All right, so
you should take A6 off the agenda. You should not spend that $500,000.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Stoneback, are there any more speakers that signed up while we were speaking?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to do A1, which is approval of minutes from the regular Administration Public Works meeting for August 10th, 2020. I move approval. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, I will now go through with the consent agenda. Just for public, again, we have pulled off A2. A16 is off by staff request. A17 is off for discussion. And A18 through A23 are off of the consent agenda as well. Is that it for my peers for pulling off? Okay. So consent agenda for tonight is A1, approval of City of Evanston payroll bills and credit card activity. Payroll is period ending July 20th. I'm sorry, period July 20th through August 2nd, 2020, in the amount of $2,397,828.77. August 3rd through August 16th in the amount of $2,379,274.86. And the bills list for September 15th in the amount of $7,737,393.20. And our credit card activity for the period ending June 26, 2020 in the amount of $212,669.05. Alderman Rainey, can you read A3 just so everyone's not hearing me all night?
Yep. I move approval of a sole source contract renewal with CDW for Cisco SmartNet support services in the amount of $70,471.64.
Alderman Suffolk, can you do A4, please?
Sure. I move item A4, which, let me scroll, is approval of a contract award for microfiche digital conversion services with Microsystems, Inc. Staff recommends the City Council authorize the City Manager to execute a sole source service agreement with Microsystems, Inc. for the digital conversion of the microfiche stored within the Creative Development Department and the microfiche at Microsystem Inc.'s location. The total cost of this one-time expense is estimated between $85,000 and $95,000. Final cost will be determined based on the total number of microfiche being scanned. Funding is provided by the Building and Inspection Service Division Software Maintenance Unit and has an approved FY 2020 budget of $151,189 and year-to-date balance of $150,127.80. This is for action.
Thank you. Alderman Braithwaite, can you do A5, please?
Sure, Alderman Fleming. Item A5 for action. Staff recommends the approval of a special event permit application submitted by the Evanston American Legion Post 24 to host live music concerts on the city property adjacent to Chandler Neuberger Center. Costs for the services provided by costs for the city services provided by the events require 100% reimbursement from the sponsoring organization or event coordinator. These fees are waived for city events and co-sponsored events. This is for action.
Second.
A6 is the approval contract award with A. Epstein and Sons International Incorporated for Chicago Avenue Corridor Improvement Project, Phase 1 Engineering Services. Staff recommends we authorize this contract in the amount of $467,146.44. This is for Phase 1 Engineering Services for Chicago Avenue Corridor Improvement Project Engineering Services. This will be funded from the Capital Improvement Fund, which has a fiscal year 2020 budget of $400,000. The remaining funds will come from savings from other projects. Just to give some clarification, we have to do the contract in this way with this type of engineering services because we are applying for federal funds, and federal funds required very extensive Phase 1 engineering services that we cannot do in-house. So that's why this is on the agenda for action. Alderman Rainey, A7, please.
A7, approval of a contract award with Granite Inliner, LLC for 2020 Cured in Place Sewer Rehabilitation Contract B. This is in the amount of $371,265, and funding for this project is from the West Evanston TIF Fund. Yes. I move approval.
Second, Alderman Sufferin, A8.
I move item A8, which is a contract award with Duke's Root Control, Inc. for the 2020 to 2022 root treatment. Staff recommends the City Council authorize the City Manager to execute a contract for the 2020 to 2022 root treatment with Duke's Root Control in the amount of $190,580.08. Funding for this project is from the Sewer Fund and has a fiscal year 2020 budget of $175,000 for this work. All is remaining. Staff proposes to budget $70,000 for root treatment in the same account in future years. This is for action.
Second.
Alderman Braithwaite, A9, please.
Alderman, yes, approval of change order number 1 for the agreement with Courtesy Electricity, Inc. for the emergency generators at the police fire headquarters, fire station number 1 and fire station number 2. Staff recommends City Council authorize City Manager to execute the change order to the agreement Courtesy Electrical for the emergency generators at the police fire headquarters, fire station 1, fire station 2. The change order includes time extension of 63 calendar days, extending the contract completion deadline from August 31st to November 2nd. There's no cost increase associated with the change order. Funding is provided from the Capital Improvement Fund 2019 and 2020 general obligation bonds. No additional funding is needed for this change order. It's for action.
Thank you. A10 is the authorizing extension of the employment contract with Erica Storley for serving as interim city manager for City of Chicago. The mayor recommends we approve this contract, this employment contract for Erica Storley. The current contract expires September 24th, 2020. This extension will allow for a 90-day extension, although, as I said earlier, we are in the process of hiring the new city manager, so we don't anticipate this going for a full 90 days. This is also for action. Alderman Rainey, can you do A11, please?
Staff will solicit alternative services from Groot to determine if there are program models that can increase access to the service and better cover cost of services. This is a matter that we want to accept and place on file.
Thank you. And before we go further, A12, I meant to pull off. I missed that one. Is it too late to do so, Mr. Stoneback?
No.
No, that's fine. You may pull it off.
I'll pull A12 off. Thank you. Alderman Sufferton, A13, please.
Item A13, this is Resolution 71R20, extending the declared state of emergency until October 12th, 2020. Staff recommends City Council adoption of Resolution 71R20, extending the declared state of emergency until October 12th, 2020.
Alderman Braithwaite, 14, please.
Or staff recommends the City Council adoption of Resolution 74-R-20, approval of the City of Evanston's donation policy amendment.
Thank you. A15 is ordinance 19-0-20, amending Title 10, Chapter 11, Section 10, limited parking, and Section 12, parking zones, amending parking on Central Street and Hurd. Staff recommends City Council table the adoption of City Code, which would allow for 4-hour parking on Central until the first meeting of April 2021. This is so that we can complete the parking study that was not able to be completed due to COVID-19. This is just for introduction. A17 is off. Alderman Rainey, can you do A7? Oh, sorry, A17 is.
No. I think we're finished.
We're finished?
Yeah, that would wrap up consent.
That's right. Okay, thank you. So it was moved, and can we have a second for consent agenda? Actually, we did have a second. Sorry, we need to call attendance. Stoneback, can you please do that?
Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton,
Aye.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye. So the consent agenda was moved and passed. So we are now going back to the items that were pulled off. So we have first A2, which is approval of BMO Harris Amazon credit card activity. Staff recommends we approve this. Credit card ending June 26, 2020 in the amount of $10,735.11. This is for approval. Is there action? Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stoneback, can you call the roll, please?
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton.
I'm sorry, this is A2?
This is Amazon.
Yes, A2.
I abstain. Thank you.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye. All right, so that motion carries for A2, which is approval of BMO Harris credit card. Next, we have A12 that I pulled off. It's Resolution 62-R-20, creating a provisional moratorium on tenant evictions due to COVID-19 impact. This is for action. You have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I pulled this off. It's in the packet for people to read, but as we know, a lot of people have lost their employment. As we know, the governor of the state of Illinois has a moratorium that is set to expire. He has not renewed it again yet. There's also a new moratorium that the CDC has put out, although there are some legal questions to that. So I felt it was important we bring this forward. As we know, our unemployment rate in Evanston has gone from 3% to 13% with this pandemic. So a lot of people aren't able to afford their rent. And this moratorium, I just want to point out a couple things that are going to be important to people. I did speak to our local Realtors Association about this. Obviously, they are in favor of people being housed, but they also want to make sure that the homeowners are not at a loss, which we want to make sure of as well. One thing to know for everyone is that we do contract with Metropolitan Tenants Association, which we've done way in advance of COVID. And so landlords and tenants do have the option of calling them to get some support. in terms of advice. And we also try to send people there for mediation to try to see if we can remedy things. In our own ordinance, there are a couple of things that I want to make sure people understand. One is which this is only for COVID-related financial hardship. So people who might be getting evicted for a number of other reasons, including property damage and so on and so forth, this does not cover them. So there's still there's still landlord rights there that will be covered. And also, so that's spelled out in the ordinance, as well as that this would go into effect of people who had the financial hardship after March 28th. So folks who maybe haven't paid their rent starting the beginning of this year and was not COVID related, this does not cover them. So we want to make sure this is very specific. I'm going to work with our staff to see if we can have Metropolitan Tenants Association do another one of their educational calls that they've done throughout the year to help people understand this ordinance and also the service they provide. And we will make sure that everyone gets clear language around what our ordinance does cover. And this ordinance is in effect if there is no other ordinance. So if the governor extends his, then we operate under the governor's moratorium. If the governor does not, then the Evanston moratorium kicks in. So those are kind of the specifics I wanted to lay out for people. And then we'll get more information out on the COVID website and the city website. So is there more discussion from my peers on this one? Yes, Alderman Rainey.
How are the courts, how is the circuit court handling this? For example, if a landlord and a tenant go out to Skokie right now, are they hearing eviction cases?
They are not, although a landlord can file.
Right, I know they file, but is the judge taking the case? No.
No, which is another concern, obviously, for everyone, because when the judge does hear them, they're already stacking up. But yeah, so they're not hearing these cases as of yet.
And is there a time frame when they're going to start hearing them, or are they just letting it? Right.
That is past my pay grade, but last I asked Commissioner Suffolk, and there was no time given.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, Alderman Braithwaite.
Thank you, Alderman Fleming. It may be worth mentioning, and you may have, I just stepped away from my desk, that there are rental assistance programs through SEPA, our community partners. For those renters that find themselves behind in rent, they can Google or contact our 311 to get information on SEPA for rental assistance. I know it's a little bit trickier, but I did see something, I can't recall, Alderman Fleming, if that was from IDH, but there was also mortgage assistance, but I think it's for households less than 109,000. So I don't know if that would apply for landlords, but there is assistance out there that people can avail themselves of.
Yes, and that is, I think, also on our COVID site for the city, but as you said, through 311. And then I know that Sarah Flax is working with our CDBG funds that are COVID related. There is potentially some help there for landlords as well. So as soon as that's figured out with the federal government, we will make that available as well. But yes, So we're doing all we can to make sure landlords and tenants are supported, because out of all the COVID stuff, having more homeless people is not beneficial for anyone. So
agreed.
We will get all this on the website, and feel free to call 311 as Alderman Braithwaite mentioned. So this has been moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call, please, Mr. Stoneback?
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye. So that is passed and carries. Next one is A17, which is ordinance 85-0-20, amending Title 8, Chapter 4, Part 9, Section 2, franchise service administration fee. And this is for introduction. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
And I've had Kumar Jensen is on the phone. I've asked him to just kind of briefly go through this, since it involves some changes in fees. I want to make sure people are aware of what this is.
Absolutely. Good evening, Chair Fleming, members of the committee, Director Stoneback. So A17, Ordinance 85-0-20 is intended to do a couple things. The most basic is to codify an existing fee that has been in place since 2008 as a part of the city's commercial commercial solid waste franchise, which Groot Industries has held since then. We did go through one renegotiation with them in 2015. And so the primary reason to move forward with a codification of it now, there's a couple reasons. The first is that agreement with Groot is getting ready to expire later this year, and so we will be going out and potentially identifying a new hauler for these services. The customers that are covered by this are commercial buildings and commercial properties, and the way that's defined per the franchise are large multifamily, and then any commercial or in this case a lot of nonprofits are included in that. There are roughly 1,250 different accounts that are covered by this agreement, and so it's a pretty large. It's a large number of properties. Condos are not included in this, and smaller residential or small apartment buildings are not included. There's a couple different existing fees. There's a fee on roll-off containers. So these are the large dumpsters that are primarily used for construction and special projects. And then there's also the existing franchise fee is $3 per cubic yard, which is the way they measure sort of the size of garbage and recycling containers. And so that fee is currently charged for each cubic yard of container that a property has, and it's charged on a monthly basis. It's not charged against recycling containers. And so what we are looking to do here is to amend that fee to reduce it from $3 per cubic yard down to $2.40 per cubic yard. But at the same time, we're also recommending that it be applied not just to the size of the container based on the cubic yard, but also the number of times that container is picked up on a weekly basis. And the primary reason that we're trying to generate some additional revenue is in order to be able to hire an additional staff person to provide some additional technical assistance to these 1,250 accounts, but also to many other service categories, so the condo buildings, the residential buildings. And most of this technical assistance is going to be focused on helping people maintain or keep their service costs low, but also working to increase our recycling diversion rate, our commercial recycling diversion rate, which is the percent of material that folks set out, the commercial properties set out, that is then recycled rather than sent to the landfill, has been under 10% since 2011. And so we've seen virtually no change. And one of the ways that we've structured this agreement, the current agreement with Groot, is to actually make it cheaper to recycle than to have your garbage collected. And so what we've done and what the plan is for this fee is that there are some groups of properties, and I'll get into this in a moment, there are some groups of properties that with this fee amendment would automatically see a cost savings without doing anything else. So these are properties that are receiving one weekly collection of garbage. Since the fee would be being reduced from $3 to $2.40, they would automatically see that fee or that cost savings for their monthly bill. The other trend that we would see, though, are that properties that have more collections, so 3, 4, 5 times a week, which there are certainly some properties that do, they would actually see an increase in their administrative fee. And so what we're suggesting, and if you look at one of the attachments to the memo, we actually looked at 21 individual accounts. These are actual accounts, commercial accounts in Evanston, and we looked at what would happen if we made these changes to the fee, so dropped it to $2.40, and then also worked with them to increase their recycling, not to 60 or 70% where I'd love to see it, but just getting them up to 30%, which we consider is to kind of a bare minimum. And what we were able to show is that with every single one of those properties, they were able to have a net cost savings in their service. And so what that's showing is that the way that our agreement is set up is that it's much cheaper to recycle than to throw stuff into the garbage. And so we believe that we can provide some additional technical assistance with this new staff capacity, as well as save many properties that we believe are probably already paying more than they should for their service. We believe that we can bring them some additional cost savings. And so I'm glad to answer questions either about the attachments or about the proposed structure.
Any questions? All right. So Kumar, I know you're going to bring this back for introduction. I would like to have more information about exactly what the staff is going to be doing. Not that the staff's not needed, but I am always concerned, for increasing fees to make a staff, and we need to be very clear with people what that staff person is going to be working on. And then if people don't, for whatever reason, this didn't generate what we thought, I'd hate to have a staff who doesn't have longevity because it's based on fees. The other referral I'd like to make for you for another time is I often get calls from particularly people who are in apartment buildings where their trash is overflowing because they have like the smaller trash cans and not a dumpster. So I'd like to just get more information or have you think through a better way to handle that. If we need to tell people if you have 5 units or more, you have to have 5 trash cans, or how we're monitoring that. I'm happy to rope in the recycling piece, but it's not probably the great use of 311 and because property standards or health who are going out to check these cans and they're overflowing and making these one-off phone calls instead of trying to at least help landlords understand if you have this many people in your building, you need to have this many trash cans. Right. Or this more often pickup. Alderman Rainey?
Well, I think you made a couple of points that I agree with wholeheartedly, and one is about the additional staff person. I really want to take a look at that. But secondly, when we go out, when we do the evaluation on bids for solid waste collection, I really hope the council gets involved in that, because we've had promises from Groot, and I really don't have any problem with Groot's regular service. They do a really good job considering the work that they have to do. But there are things that they've agreed to do for us. For example, when buildings haven't paid, for a couple of weeks or months, whatever it is, and they stop collecting, we don't always get noticed, and garbage starts collecting. And when people put out extra stuff that is really special pickups and they don't pick it up, and because they're not supposed to pick up that kind of stuff without being notified, and that starts collecting and it starts collecting, and then rats come, etc. We're not always notified. The way we get notified is because a neighbor calls us and reports it, and that shouldn't be happening. I mean, we're paying them plenty. They have a franchise with us. We need to be treated more like a good customer, and we're not always being treated like a good customer. And I would like to see them repair that relationship a little more. And I don't think our staff always knows about that until one of us starts complaining about it. And 311 is a good way for the neighbor to report it. So I don't have any problem with people using 311 for that. But frequently it's the alderman that gets the problem. And we have pockets all over town where this kind of thing is happening, and we need to get a better handle on it. And the way we should be getting a handle on it is that Groot is our first line of defense about getting a handle on it, and they're not helping us. So.
Absolutely. I will just note that I am working with Public Works right now to draft the RFP for the new services, and we have I think much more robust language definitely than from 2008, but even compared to the residential services that we went out for in 2017, particularly in regards to expectations around customer communication and documentation.
And Public Works is the one who has to go out and clean up Groot's mess that they left. I mean, they're the ones that have to go clean it up. So that shouldn't be happening. Kevin shouldn't be out there cleaning that up. Anyway. Yeah.
All right, Kumar, so that's some guidance for you before you come back with this agenda item. Thank you for your explanation. So it's been moved and seconded for introduction. Mr. Stoneback, can you call the roll, please?
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Suffredin.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye. So that carries. So now I'm going to A18. A18, oh, that's, I got suspension of the rules, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so I introduced this and then we vote for suspension of the rules. Is that correct, Mr. Stoneback?
Yes, ma'am.
So A18 is ordinance 81-0-20, amending city code section 10-11-5C, schedule, is that 5C? Three-way stop to include three-way stop at Oakton and Sherman. Staff recommends adoption of this ordinance. Alderman Fleming requests suspension of the rules and introduction and action at tonight's meeting. Funding will come from the general fund traffic control supplies. This is for introduction and action. So I move that. I always forget the language here. Mr. Stoneback, can you call the rules that can you call the roll for approval of suspension of the rules?
Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton,
Aye.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye. All right, so now we call the vote. Do I have to read it again or just call the vote for the actual ordinance?
You can call the vote for introduction of the ordinance.
And action.
And action.
And
You vote.
introduction and action of the ordinance.
A18, ordinance 81-0-20. I am requesting that we introduce and act on this one tonight. Can we have a call for the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton,
Aye.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye. All right, so that carries, and I'm getting a message from our law department. Oh, I only need to suspend the rules for introduction and action once. Thank you. That's better. All right, so I'm going to ask that we introduce and suspend the rules for items A19, A20, A21, A22, and A23. Mr. Stoneback, can you call the roll for introduction and action suspension of the rules?
Could I have a second on that
wait,
first, please?
Point of order.
Thank you.
You can move suspension of the rules, but then you've got to move introduction and action.
Okay.
I think.
So I thank you. I move for introduction. I move for suspending of the rules, but I don't need to call the actual things yet, Ann?
You would be moving to suspend the rules for intro and action just for those items, but you still need to move and introduce each of those items, is what Alderman Rainey was saying.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I need assistance.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay.
For all three items, you're moving suspension of the rules. But then you've got to move introduction and action on each item.
All right. So do I call the items? That's my question, though. Or do I just make a blanket statement of
suspending the
Okay. I would like to suspend the rules for introduction and action. Mr. Stoneback, can you still not write, Ann?
It's okay. We know what you mean.
May I have a second on that motion, please? Is there a second on your motion?
Second.
Okay. Thank you. Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton,
Aye.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye. All right, so that carries, and we are suspending the rules. So now I'm going to move for introduction and action. A19, which is ordinance 83-0-20, decrease of Class D liquor license from 60 to 59 for Furious Spoon, Evanston on Maple Avenue, doing business as Furious Spoon. This is for introduction and action by request of the Liquor Commissioner. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stoneback.
Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton,
Aye.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye. So A19 carries. Tonight for introduction and action is A20, ordinance 87-0-20, increase of Class D liquor license from 59 to 60 for Palm House Productions, doing business as Palm House, 619 Howard Street. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stoneback?
Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton,
Aye.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye. Alderman Rainey, I will tell you, I really like the color of Palm House, if you can let them know.
Cool. I know.
I move for introduction and action A21, ordinance 88-0-20, increase in Class C liquor license from 18 to 19 for Clark's Off Campus Incorporated, doing business as Clark's Off Campus at 804 Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton,
Aye.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
For introduction, and that carries. For introduction and action is A22, ordinance 89-0-20, increase of Class K liquor license from 3 to 4 at Lacey, doing business as Vincinimo at 2120 Clark Street. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton,
Aye.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye. And then we have A24 for introduction and action, which is ordinance 90-0-20, increase in Class P5 liquor license from 0 to 1 for Fuse Spirits at 918 Chicago Avenue. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton,
Aye.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye. And I believe that finishes our consent agenda and all the items for approval. And tonight, we do not have anything for discussion. Do we have any? Alderman Braithwaite?
Just something that I would like for staff to present to us. I've been receiving a number of complaints regarding the management of our downtown Evanston Farmers Market, and I'd like to review the contract.
Ooh.
Okay. Any more items for communication for our staff? All right. Seeing nothing further, we can adjourn the Administration Public Works meeting. What time does P&D start this evening?
5 minutes.
Is it for scheduled time or is 5 minutes good? I'm not on that committee, so I want to make sure.
I'm on the committee. I think it just starts after AMPW. I'm standing in for Melissa Wynn tonight.
And it's posted for 5 p.m., so we can go.
Oh, okay. So I'll give you a 5-minute break. Is that good?
We're a half hour late.
Yeah. All right. So Administration Public Works is adjourning and Planning and Development will start at 5:35.
Okay, I'm ready right now. Here I am.
Well, I don't know. Do you have anybody else you need to have on here?
I'm not sure. Well, we'll start in 5 minutes.
Okay, then we'll start in 5 minutes. So I move to adjourn. Do we need to call a roll for adjournment tonight for virtual, or are we just adjourn?
No vote is necessary for adjournment. You just need a motion in a second.
All right.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Thank you, Alderman Fleming. Thank you.
For a second?
Second.
All right, perfect. We are adjourned. Thank you.